For those of you who mentioned last week that you couldn't hear the plane that I was pausing through, it sounds something kinda like this. Hello again team, it's Jess or JashiiCorrin, and welcome back for my week 36 plan with me. In today's video, I'll be setting up for September 2nd through to the 8th. But before we get into that, as per usual, we're just gonna have a look at how this week is going. So, as you'll remember from my last weekly plan with me, for this week I was going with a one-page weekly. At this stage, I'm not feeling too pinched for space, but honestly that's probably because I haven't been into my journal the past couple of days. I feel like if I had have been using it to its full extent, I feel like I probably wouldn't have had enough space in here to write down all of the things that I ended up doing. Despite that though, this is turning out quite well, but I am looking forward to going back to a 2-page spread next week. In terms of the challenge that I was supposed to be doing in today's video, that was intended to be watercolors, but to be completely honest, I'm really not feeling it today. So I'm instead going to try and create a spread using the colour palette that I selected from my September pages. If you saw my September plan with me that I put up on the weekend, you'll know that for September I'm doing a space theme. So my colour palette revolves around blues and golden colours. Flipping over to my next empty spread. Before we jump in, just a reminder that as per usual, any of the equipment I use in today's setup is linked in the description box below. While we have the time lapse running, I'm just going to go through a couple of the questions that were left on last week's video. Some of these I'll be answering by myself, and a little later on we're going to have a guest speaker on today's plan with me. Our first question comes from Amy, who said, "Hi, another awesome video. I love that you are so willing to share part of your life with us. I'm also a teacher and I was wondering how you plan your classes. Do you have another bullet journal? A standard teacher planner? Something else?" So as I've shown in a couple of my previous videos, the main thing that I use for my lesson planning, or at least for planning out when my lessons are going to be, is my term scheduler. For the most part, most of my planning for lessons happens digitally. So I'll use a combination of Microsoft Word and Excel to suss those out. In terms of getting a big picture look at the sequence of lessons that I have as part of a term, that's where I'll use my term planner. As a side note, I am intending on releasing a video about teaching related spreads in a couple of weeks. So for anyone who's interested, do make sure to check that one out when it's up. Our next question comes from Jessica, who asked, "What are your feelings regarding Dutch doors?" I've released a couple of videos about Dutch doors before, one on how to make them and one on some Dutch door ideas. But I do certainly like a good Dutch door. I'm not the biggest fan of the decorational ones. I mean, I know they look really good, and I can appreciate the aesthetic, but I personally haven't found a use for those in my journal. I do enjoy using the ones that are targeted towards giving yourself a little bit of extra space on a weekly spread though. So all in all, I am pro Dutch door, and more pro functional Dutch door than decorative Dutch door. Our next one comes from Kate's Place 77, who said, "I have both PCOS and endometriosis. If you don't mind me asking, are your cycles also painful?" So I honestly feel so thankful that I don't have endometriosis. I've heard some really nasty things about it and how horribly painful it can make periods for people. So I'm really sorry to hear that you have it. Thankfully, for the most part, my cycles aren't painful. They have started becoming slightly more painful as of recent, and that was the main reason I decided to go see the doctor about them. But compared to the level of pain that some people who have endometriosis have, mine is not even comparable, it's nothing. Our next question came from Vanessa, who asked, "Do you listen to any podcasts? If yes, any favourites or recommendations?" I wouldn't really say that I'm a podcast listener, but I do have one in particular that I like, and that would be The Uncurated Life with Cindy of Llama's Love Lettering. I haven't listened to a lot of episodes. I am meaning to get caught up eventually, considering there's like 50 something, probably more episodes now. Actually, probably quite a bit more. I should check that. Anyway, the timeliness of this question is kind of funny, because it was about a week or so ago that I started thinking I should really listen to more podcasts. So if anybody has any suggestions of podcasts they like to listen to, I would be very interested to hear them. For our last 2 questions, I have brought along some assistants in the form of Vogel.
Kia ora everyone, I'm Vogel. Nice to meet you.
But not really.
Yeah, I can't really see you guys, so
Yep.
I guess.
Yep.
Yep.
So our first question to be answered with the assistance of Vogel comes from Marloes, who asked, I wonder if you could get Vogel to create a weekly layout for you to try. How does he feel about the Bujo world?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Jashii's constantly trying to encourage me to do weekly plans to organise my life better. I'm still a bit of a fiend and I don't, but I do use a bullet journal to keep track of more long-term goals and things I want to watch, games I'm playing, that kind of thing.
A couple of years ago, I did get Vaughan his own bullet journal, so we thought that as part of today's video, we would give you a little flip through of that one.
Shit, I've never actually put anything on page 1. I really should do that. So, I'm a huge Pokemon nerd, so a lot of new Pokemon Sun and Moon sets. You can see, obviously, I realised some of them were shit, so I never did them. Then I went through a whole phase where I collected a certain butterfly Pokemon. This fucker was very hard to get, because the Middle East doesn't really tend to care about playing Pokemon at the moment. Whole bunch of other Pokemons and whatnot. Then I have a wish list, which I'm going to check to see if there's anything I don't want you to know about. Oh, there's things to be ticked on that. Where's a pen?
Okay.
Alright. Because Jashii did get me Halo Wars, so we can tick that off. If her pen works. If it works. It does not work.
It's dry. Here's the black one. I mean the other black one.
There's another black one?
The clicky one?
Yeah. That one?
Yeah.
Alright. Alright.
Slightly better.
Well, that happened. That's good. Anything else on here? No, we don't want that.
Well, it's on your list.
Where is it? Oh, yeah, we don't want that. It sucks. We'll get rid of that.
Did you get everything else?
I can't remember if I bought this. To have lots of money. Haha, people. I'm rich. Believe it.
You're a fool. Next.
This is when I collected more Pokemons. This is when I rated all these movies from 2017 and 2016. Don't worry, they get better, but I did like this bit at the start, which I definitely drew, and it definitely wasn't Jashii, which is why it's the neatest thing. I was also trying to learn some Te Reo Māori, so this is me practicing by writing some of it down. We also have the colours. Obviously writing white would be a problem, so I wrote it with a pencil. And these were the numbers, where I accidentally made an extra box for 6, because I'm an idiot. But we'll ignore that. And more Te Reo Māori. We're going to skip my stupid man, because you don't need to see that. And that's all the pages of stuff I haven't done. So these are all the movies I saw in 2018. Obviously some I intended to see, like the amazing Liam Neeson movie The Commuter, but still have not. And yeah, this is when I try to keep track of my steps and have a little colour chart. Obviously I have not filled out all the colours, so I should probably do that. This is a list of TV shows I'm trying to get through watching. Yeah, there's also ratings of how good they were. Feel free to pause. This is when I was going to make more Pokemon stuff. I have still not done that. This is a list of all the stuff we're trying to do for our house and how important they are. There's a good chunk of ticks there, so that's always a good start. There's a lot of stuff there that's probably we're never going to do, but they're there. This is a list of stuff I was going to do for my car. I have not got very far with it, as there are no pretty pictures. This is the movies I've been watching this year, so we've got a nice movie ticket style and more fancy movie reel coming off, which again I definitely drew myself and did not have any help from Jashii at all. This is my chore list to try and make myself a little more organised. This is probably the first bullet journaling thing I've done to actually organise myself. I'm pretty sure I've ignored most of it, but at least there's a general gist. And I do like the vacuum cleaner E. So I'll take that. And that's all I've done. I do need to find a bit more free time, I think, to do some. Man hands.
With respect to the first part of your question, though, I do intend at some stage to get Vaughan to create a weekly layout for me. We just need to find the time to be able to film that. Our next question comes from Daphne, who asked, do you have any cheaper hangout ideas, such as dates with Vogel or when hanging out with friends and family?
So, movies are always a great thing. In New Zealand, they cost about $12 a ticket, so that's pretty affordable. If you live in Australia, though, that's a terrible idea. Last time I was over there, $25 a ticket. Just don't do that. Don't go to Australian movie theatres. Come fly over to New Zealand.
Yeah, it's obviously cheaper to fly to New Zealand for a movie.
Exactly. Makes sense. Picnics are also a great one because you only have to buy food. Ideally, you should have cutlery and or bags.
Yep. Good suggestions. I literally have nothing else to add to that. You stole both of my good ideas.
That's why you go first.
Ruined. What else? What else can you do? Cheaper hangout ideas.
Do you want me to just do more?
I mean, do you have more?
Yeah.
Sure, okay.
You could also go bowling or mini golf. Both are great activities that require little skill. All you have to do is be slightly better than the person you're on a date with trying to impress.
If we're thinking about free things, you could go on a hike. Not that I would ever want to do that, but you could do that if you're that way inclined.
And then have a picnic at the top. If you want other very cheap and or free ideas, you can also stick your hand up a vending machine.
No, you cannot.
Grab the food.
No.
If you're lanky like that.
A lanky.
Yep, if you're lanky.
I'm not putting this in. I'm not gonna let you convince my subscribers to go fucking steal from vending machines, you menace. That's all we have time for today.
What else could you do as a cheap date ideas?
So I've got a space on this left-hand page for all of my events for the week, and then my space over here for any to-dos and notes that I can think of. I'm just going to go in now and add in the events that I know I have coming up next week. I'm sure there are other really great ideas, and I would appreciate hearing other people's suggestions, because obviously Vaughan and I aren't the most creative people when it comes to cheap dates. I mean, sleeping is cheap, right? But doesn't make for much of a date.
Also, if you can afford the Netflix subscription and or a room, you can always Netflix and chill. Wink.
No winking. Stop winking at my subscribers.
You're gonna be like, your partner's terrible.
And that's all we have time for today. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of fuckery.
Did I give you enough material?
Yeah, thank you. Say bye.
Kake te ano.
You sound like a child.
Fine, I'll do another take.
Bye, Vaughan.
Bye, everyone.
Alrighty, we're good. Thanks for watching, team. If you liked today's layout, please do give this video a big thumbs up. And if you wanted to see more from me, feel free to go check out one of my other videos. Until next time, bye!